Hello students. Today we are starting the sixth chapter of history topic, that is Mahatma Gandhi and the national movement. The period between 1915 to 1947 is known as the mass phase of the Indian freedom struggle. This is also called the Gandhian era because during this period the freedom movement was led by Mahatma Gandhi. In this chapter we are going to study about two important movements led by Mahatma Gandhi. The first one is non-cooperation movement and the second one is civil disobedience movement. In this video we are going to discuss about the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement was a popular movement started by Indian National Congress on 5th September 1920 under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. For starting this movement, there were some causes. There are three important causes that led to the launching of non-cooperation movement. They are Rulath Act, Jallianwala Bagh tragedy and Khilafat Movement. Now let us see these causes in detail. The first factor led to the launching of non-cooperation movement was Rulath Act. The Central Legislature of India passed an act named Rulath Act in February 1919. It is called a Rulath Act because it was formulated by Justice Rulath. The provisions of Rulath Act were against the freedoms of the Indian people. The Rulath Act implied or following were the provisions of Rulath Act. The first provision of the Rulath Act was arrest of a person without warrant. It means the police can arrest a person without any warrant or any valid reason. The second one is in camera trial. That means trial in seclusion. The third one is a restriction on the movements of individuals. As per this provision, the freedom of movement of the freedom fighters were restricted. They were not allowed to leave the city or a particular state. The fourth one was suspension of the right of habeas corpus. This habeas corpus is a basic human right. Once the habeas corpus right was suspended, the government and police could keep a person in unlawful custody. As all the provisions of the Rulath Act were against the freedoms of the people, all groups of people, including Hindus and Muslims, joined together against Rulath Act. Mahatma Gandhi saw this as the best opportunity to unite the Hindus and Muslims. So he took the leadership of the non-cooperation movement. The second reason, the second factor for launching the non-cooperation movement was Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. An incident happened in Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar in Punjab, forced Mahatma Gandhi to launch the non-cooperation movement. On 13th April 1919, a peaceful gathering in Jallianwala Bagh was fired by General Dyer. Jallianwala Bagh was a ground. It was surrounded by buildings and walls from three sides. It has only one entrance. Once the people gathered in the Jallianwala Bagh, they can go out only through the one exit. The crowd gathered in Jallianwala Bagh to protest against the arrest of the leaders like Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal. The gathering was quite peaceful, but the people were not knowing that public gathering in Amritsar was prohibited on that days. Once the gathering was going on, General Dyer and his force closed the entrance. Then they started firing on the gathering. Around 1,000 innocent people were died and many were wounded. In this heinous act, the conscience of the nation was shaken, and the people and Congress demanded an apology from the British government. So the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy was the second factor forced Mahatma Gandhi to launch the non-cooperation movement. Next is the third cause, that is Khilafat Movement. The First World War that broke out in 1914 ended in the year 1918. In the First World War, Britain and Turkey were in the opposite side. In the First World War, Turkey was defeated, and the Sultan of Turkey, who was considered as the Caliph, was humiliated by the victorious power. The Muslim community all over the world considered the Sultan of Turkey as their Caliph or the spiritual head of Islam. The Muslim population of India started a protest movement to regain the lost power and prestige of the Caliph. That movement was called the Khilafat Movement. The intention of the Khilafat Movement was to do a remedy for Khilafat wrongs, the wrongs done to the Caliph of Turkey. In India, the leaders of the Khilafat movement were Ali brothers. Ali brothers were Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali. Along with the Ali brothers, some other leaders were also there. They were Maulana Azad, Hakim Ajmal Khan and Hasrat Mohani. So these were the three important causes for the launching of non-cooperation movement. Once the movement started, Mahatma Gandhi and the Indian National Congress set the programs for the movement. Two major programs were there for the non-cooperation movement. They were boycott programs and Swadeshi programs. Following are the important points you have to remember under the heading boycott programs. The first one is boycott of government schools, colleges and courts. The second one is boycott of all types of foreign goods. Third one, boycott of elections to the legislative assemblies and council. The fourth boycott program was surrender of titles and honorary offices. These were the four boycott programs. The next four are Swadeshi programs. The four Swadeshi programs are popularization of Swadeshi and Khadi. Second one is establishment of national schools and colleges. Once the government schools and colleges were boycotted by the Indians, the children were admitted in national schools and colleges. The third one was a removal of untouchability. And fourth one was development of unity between Hindus and Muslims. So these were the programs of the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement was suspended in the year 1922 due to an unfortunate incident. The reason for the suspension of the movement was called Chauri Chaura incident. Remember, Mahatma Gandhi was the leader of the non-cooperation movement, and he was a staunch believer of ahimsa or non-violence. Before starting this movement, he advised the Congress leaders and the followers of Congress not to violate the principle of ahimsa. But the unfortunate incident happened in Chauri Chaura forced Mahatma Gandhi to suspend the non-cooperation movement. Chauri Chaura is a village near Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. On 5th February 1922, a procession of about 3,000 peasants marched to a police station to protest against the police officers who had beaten some volunteers picketing a liquor shop. So one of the major program of the non-cooperation movement was picketing of liquor shops. Once a group of volunteers were peacefully picketing a liquor shop, they were beaten by some police officers. But the police fired at the demonstrators, and the angry peasants set the nearby police station on fire, which killed 22 policemen. So the incident happened in Chauri Chaura, caused for the death of 22 policemen. As this incident violated the principle of ahimsa, Gandhiji suspended the non-cooperation movement on 12th February 1922. So the immature suspension of the non-cooperation movement caused for a failure of the movement. Otherwise, the history of India may be a different one. The last part of this topic is the impact of non-cooperation movement. The first impact. The national movement became a mass movement. For the first time in the history of the Indian freedom struggle, a movement became a popular movement. It really strengthened the mass base of Indian National Congress. So we can say that the first impact of the non-cooperation movement, the national movement became a mass movement. Second, it instilled confidence among the people. The non-cooperation movement generated a desire for freedom and inspired the people to challenge the colonial rule. Third, the Congress became a revolutionary party. The outlook of Indian National Congress was changed due to the non-cooperation movement. The Congress became the organizer and leader of the masses in their national struggle. Fourth one, fostered Hindu-Muslim unity. The unity between Hindus and Muslims are a rarely occurring incident. In the non-cooperation movement, the Hindus and Muslims joined together and they fought against their common enemy, the British. Fifth one, the non-cooperation movement fostered social reforms. The social reforms like abolition of untouchability, upliftment of the weaker sections of the society, establishment of schools, etc. were there. The next one is spread of nationalism to every part of the country. Unlike the previous incidents, the freedom struggle was limited to some big cities or some particular states. Contrary to this, the non-cooperation movement was spread to the nook and corners of different states of India. The last one, popularized the cult of Swaraj. Even though the non-cooperation movement was not able to achieve any of its objective, the cult of Swaraj or independence was popularized. The people became optimistic and they began to think that freedom is near. This is the end of the first part. Thank you.